Hello, you beautiful stars. Welcome to Stars in the Morning Light. I'm finally getting to a guest interview over 2 months, and this is Dr. Ben Goins. He has been here before, Dr. Ben Go, health warrior. He is a biochemist, and his foundation of IMedDo detox system is the best out there, guys. So thank you, Ben, for being here.
You're very welcome, Courtney.
Yes. Guys, I do want to throw out there, like I just said, I have not done an interview in 2 months, and it's been. I now, this is going to be airing October 30th, 2022. And I'm saying the date because YouTube is removing dates from things. I'm declaring right now that I am endorsing, I'm sponsoring, however you want to look at it, IMedDo. Very simple. All of it's in the description right now. And I'm not doing it based out of I'm getting anything. I'm not getting free product. I'm not getting paid. I'm doing it because I believe in his product. And it's not just me. Other people are starting to experience it and they are knowing the beautifulness of detoxing your body with Dr. Ben here. I have to tell you guys, I've said it when he was here before. Go back in the other interview videos, he's here. In like 2014, 2015 or so, we were purchasing all of the detox, all of the healthcare stuff, all of it, because the apocalypse was coming, and we were using, all these big YouTube channels that said this is the best thing in the world. We purchased them. None of them did as they claimed they would. None of them, actually, some of them were kind of harmful to me because they were loading their products up with so much crap that my body did not react kindly to like one of the aspects in them. Ben's is pure. Ben's is down to the fine, just simple elements, iodine, gold, and silver. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into it tonight. We're going to get into the heavy metal of lead, amongst learning more from Dr. Ben here. But before we do so, I have an actual customer of Ben's that I kind of was the link between the two. And for anyone listening tonight, I'm going to call this person, this lovely woman, TC, because I'm not sure if she wants her name out there. TC is a part of the R. Wayne Steiger and Milky Way Soul Tribe people. She's on the outskirts of them. So she is part of, if you are part of that here listening, welcome, lovely. If you're new, love to have you subscribe and share this message. She did Ben's system. And this is after 6 weeks. And before I even read this product review, which Ben, I don't believe you haven't heard this yet, have you, Ben? I just sent it to you yesterday.
No, I haven't. I'm excited to hear.
Excellent. Good. Yes. I want to tell you guys, I saw TC at a free Reiki healing that I was doing. And as many of you know, I'm a psychic Reiki master. I mean, I've laid hands on many of people. It was at that like 6 week mark after doing this system of Ben's, this detox system, that I laid hands on this woman who experienced his system. I have never, this is my own claim to how great his product is. I've never experienced laying hands on someone that their body, it was perfect. It was great. I mean, Ben, normally when I lay hands on somebody, being a psychic Reiki master, I know exactly what's going on. I've never in life, I think even on my own body, have put hands on a body that was just like, she had spiritual stuff going on, but as far as physically, it was so nice for me. I was like, I've never experienced it. So this is her product review. And when I say sickness, guys, just know that I'm avoiding, because I'm a very small little YouTube channel. We all know what sickness I'm referring to. Okay. This is her in her first person point of view. So here we go, Ben. This is your first time hearing it. Awesome. I experienced a pretty severe case of sickness in November 2021. I was left with symptoms that seemed to never subside, such as joint pain, inflammation, increased migraines, and brain fog. I began the IMedDo detox system 6 weeks ago and started noticing improvements in the first week. By the third week, I noticed the pain in my joints was diminishing, and within a month, I was surprised when I caught myself walking downstairs with no pain. The sickness exasperated an already chronic migraine disorder. Migraines were increasing and more severe. So far, with the exception of the headache I experienced upon initial use, which I understand is from the detoxification process, I've been migraine free these last 6 weeks. Wow. I have also noticed the brain fog is subsiding. I am having an easier time recalling words, and I'm not quite as absent-minded as I was. I believe this detox system has given me remarkable results. Along with the detox system, I followed Dr. Ben's advice and ditched the fluoride toothpaste and mouth rinse and replaced them with fluoride-free alternatives. By the way, my teeth feel cleaner. I also began drinking more water as he advised. Being pain-free. I want to hear, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Being pain-free has allowed me to slowly work myself back into an exercise routine. I feel I'm finally getting back to my pre-sickness self. I'm so grateful I have come across Dr. Ben Goins. That was the first time you heard or got that, right, Ben?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, it really is, because we're about to start talking about Ben's newest news article, which will also be attached in the description, about the heavy metal lead, which I didn't know was so as dangerous as it is. We hear it, but we don't know what's really going on there. I just wanted to give you that big shout out, that product review of your system. And that's why I'm saying I do endorse you, because out of everything, and guys, we spent money. We had an inheritance at that time, that we spent a lot of it on systems out there, pills out there, stuff out there that did not do anything. I'm trying to give you all the proof in the pudding. Ben's system works. So
Thank
Ben,
you.
and if you need to know more about him, go back to the original video. Ben, before we start talking about lead, I do want to address, so I was reading your article, your October article about the heavy metal lead. Of course, you mentioned Michigan. Geez, when they clearly we all knew what was going on there. That was like, oh my goodness. And some people purchased your system to help the people there. So
Hmm.
I love hearing that, humanity helping humanity. But you had mentioned it's happening in what, Jackson, Mississippi? What is happening?
Yeah, I'm from Mississippi. My mother's side of the family is from Mississippi, and I used to live in Mississippi a long time ago. And so I'm hearing it from my aunts and uncles that they're having lead problems in Jackson, Mississippi. And it's just a matter of just failing a municipal water system. They just like in Flint, they use the river water or something, and it cracked in the winter or something, and they have lead pipes, and people are it's not just Jackson, it's all over the place, but it's
Yeah.
really been in the news lately in Jackson, Mississippi, because they get a lot of federal aid and they're asking for a lot of federal aid. I think Biden declared an emergency there or something, and
Oh,
they're
wow.
asking for bottled water donations. Yeah, it's like a big deal. It's
I
kind of
don't
like
wow.
Flint happened a long time ago, but this
Yeah.
exact same thing that happened in Flint's happening right now in other places in the US. And most recently, Jackson, Mississippi is having that problem. But as far as I was reading about it, they've been having lead poisoning problems there for the past 20 years at least, I think. I think maybe
Oh
it's
my
from the
gosh.
60s. They have severe lead poisoning there. All the children have a lot of problems from the lead and stuff. It's very sad, really.
Okay, so when
But
I was reading, you had put in your article kind of at the beginning, like, there's a percentage of deaths every year from chemical something, some kind of chemical death, but half of those deaths are found out down the road that it was from lead.
yeah, that was the fact when I was researching lead, that half of all deaths from unknown chemical causes end up being attributed to lead. So yeah, if you're sick and you don't know why, it's probably lead. At least
And
50%
we
chance.
think in 2022 that that's not a thing anymore. Like oh, we've taken care of it, that we don't paint our walls with lead anymore. But it's how do you think people are getting that much contact? It is the pipes, it's the water systems.
Yeah, one thing I learned I didn't realize is that the main way people poison yourself with lead, the easiest way to poison yourself with lead is by drinking it. So the pipes are really a problem because that's the way that you drink the lead. The other way people used to have leaded crystal decanters that they would store their liquor in up until recent
Oh,
times. Do you remember those? They're crystal,
yeah.
they're glass, but they're leaded glass. And I didn't realize they're made out to up to like 38% lead, and people would put their bourbon in them, and it would just sit there for like a month. You drink that, and people were getting lead poisoning from their liquor, lead poisoning from the water.
Oh,
The other way I
wow.
saw, there's some leaded pottery glaze and people drinking out of leaded pottery. So the main problem that I think that is like really still a problem in modern times is if you drink the lead, it's really bad. Um, there's
Okay.
lead car batteries and stuff, but when you touch the lead, it isn't as bad as when you drink it.
Right. But
Because they took
we
the
are consuming it somehow. What about
yeah.
like tin cans? I know they have that weird like chemical coat now about around our canned foods. That's not a part of this, right? Or
That's a different poison. There was like a plastic, I think
okay,
it was BPA or bisphenol A or
that's
something.
what
There
it
was some.
is. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so everybody wants to get the BPA free plastic, and that's good. But that is a different type of poisoning, but it's from plastic, not from the lead. But most anything made with tap water has lead in it because they usually use municipal water that have lead pipes. And even if they don't have lead pipes, what I didn't know is that they still have lead soldering, where the soldering for the pipes, even if they're not lead pipes, can have some lead in it. And so that's the main problem, I think, is the lead pipes. There's other issues, but definitely right now it seems like lead pipes is the main way people. But so anything made with tap water, and think of any soda, any liquor, they use tap water for making all kinds of stuff that you drink, and you might not know it has lead in it. It might just have a small amount, but it builds up over time. And so, yeah, lead. I've been focused so much on mercury detox because 50% of people have the mercury metal fillings. I've been focusing a lot on
Yeah,
mercury heavy metal detox, that
I
I've
do.
been ignoring the lead detox. But now I'm realizing that besides mercury heavy metal and besides aluminum heavy metal, lead heavy metal is a serious problem. And it is the heavy metal. It is the most toxic of all heavy metals.
You know what
And
I
I
was just sorry, Ben, you know what I was just thinking about when you were talking about our pipes and our water system was also like even at bars, like the taps. That's all metal.
And what I didn't realize is that some brass is made with lead in it. I noticed I got a little adapter for my garden hose and it was made of brass and it had a little warning on it. May contain something toxic in the state of California. And I realized they were alloying. So some brass pipes or copper pipes might have lead in them too if they've alloyed with that. So yeah, it's a big problem in pipes because people, when you run water through it and you drink it, you can get lead poisoning that way for sure.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about your system and then we're going to get back to the lead part. Um, I have to say, when you've said it a million times of It's the iodine, and then the gold protects the brain during the detox, and the silver protects the body. You had said it to me a million times, but it was like when I read it, it all of a sudden hit. And so, can you explain a little bit of like your 6 month system before we keep going?
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's made of three things: iodine, silver, and gold, nascent iodine, highest quality nascent iodine, colloidal silver, and colloidal gold. The highest quality colloidal silver and colloidal gold, they're nanocolloidal coated silver and gold, highest quality in the world. They're really amazing. Um, 10 nanometer silver and approximately 10 to 13 nanometer colloidal gold. And so they're medicinal food grade silver and gold. And the deal with it is I was able to really get clarity of this in my lead article, because I was looking at all the different elements on the periodic table and trying to figure out, okay, which ones are good for you, which ones are bad for you. And above element number 34, there's only three that I know of that are good for you, and it's iodine, silver, and gold, the three that I use. Okay, and
It's
so
wild. Yeah, I read that. And
and
go ahead, Ben.
and it kind of, I mean, I've been doing it for years, but it kind of clicked with me, like, okay, that's really important,
Hmm.
like and everyone recognizes that iodine is a nutrient, but in mainstream medicine it was not recognized that silver and gold are
Yeah.
nutrients.
Yes.
And
So, I'm sorry for interrupting. Guys, you have to read this article because he does really break it down. That's the stuff I saw too, Ben. And then that just kind of put the whole world in a different perspective to me, in a way of like, wow, the ones above 34. But I also have to say, because this channel is a whole lot about ancient texts, my brain automatically, for who I am, went, wow, in every ancient story, ancient text, if there's a king being born or someone in power, others bring them gold and silver. Maybe it's now we think gold is, rings. Now we see it as money and that. What if these ancient texts were really saying, we're sending you gold and silver to protect the brain and mind and body of this being? And so, guys, here's the thing: if he's saying he learned a lot and kind of broke it all down, and I'm having all this input as I'm reading the article, please read the article, subscribe to IMedDo. It You need this information. Continue on, Ben. Can you kind of explain the periodic table a little bit to folks as far as what does it mean above 34?
um I don't want to explain the periodic table, but I'm a chemist, and so the periodic table is like the Bible of the chemist. Okay, and the chemist, the field of chemistry developed actually from the field of alchemy from
Yeah,
ancient Egypt, and we were just trying to they were trying to understand what is creation, what is stuff made out of, what is our body made out of, trying to understand God, and the chemistry of gold is alchemy. And
right.
so when you meditate and study gold, as a chemist, I'm like doing it like an alchemist.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
to the periodic table it is scientific, but people don't realize it's also kind of religious as well. But it's basically
yeah,
like if you are trying to meditate on, okay, what is creation? What is everything around me made out of? Uh, and if I could just write it all down and put it in an easy to understand way, the periodic table is the most modern way to do
right,
that, where everything that we know of that is solid is made out of something, and all those somethings are made out of atoms, and all those atoms have a certain number of protons. And so every different element is based on how many protons it has, and that's the atomic number. And
right,
then if you're trying to understand what is creation made out of, there's certain periods, this periodic table, there seems to be certain kind of trends, like, okay, these get bigger, these get smaller. Okay, if the number goes up and down, the size goes up, and you're just trying to like make sense out of creation because it's
yeah.
so complicated. You're like, what the heck is this? Like, and and so
But isn't the numbers with like a lower, or isn't on the table the ones with like a lower number? Aren't those your heavy metals, if I remember correctly?
no. So usually heavy is usually the higher atomic number. Okay, so there's this is a little complicated, but the numbers on the periodic table are called the atomic numbers, and that defines the element. That's how many protons they have.
Oh,
but it's also protons and neutrons as the atomic mass would be heavy. So heavy is usually referring to mass, which is a little bit something different. But the way that things are organized on the periodic table is by how many protons they have, which is which element they are. And generally speaking, bigger elements might have bigger mass, but there are some trends where going up it, the mass gets smaller. It's really
wow.
weird. And the reason it's so weird is because the trend is like a DNA helix. It's like cyclical in like a helix, and they tried to put it on a flat piece of paper in a table. So it's really hard to understand
Okay.
what the trends really are from just looking at it. But anyway, I don't want to bog you down there. I just want you to know
Oh,
that as a chemist back in like 2015, when I was meditating on how do I help these people with lead poisoning in Flint, Michigan, I was staring at the periodic table, okay? And I had a revelation, and it was like, okay, it looks like that gold would be about the same size as lead, but slightly larger and would be able to bump the lead out of receptors in the body. And I don't know, I wrote this, I don't know if I put it in my newsletter because I didn't want to freak people out with like, there was a little bit of divine revelation
you can
going
say
into
it here
me.
though. Yeah, you
But
can
I'll
say
say it
it
here,
here.
like really, when I was meditating on detoxing lead with gold, I was staring at the periodic table, and to me, it turned into like a mandala, and it like
Yeah.
spoke to me, and I got the message like really clear that gold is bigger than lead, and it detoxes gold. Gold detoxes lead,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then in my newsletter this month, I looked into that more, and to be able to refine that revelation a little bit is it detoxes the lead ion, okay? Because the Pb2 plus with two less electrons is actually a little bit smaller than with the electrons, but the form of lead that is really toxic when you drink it, it's the lead ion, Pb2 plus,
Okay, it's the
okay?
lead ion.
The
Okay.
lead, yeah, which is like the dissolved form in the water. I told you the lead that you drink is really bad. It's a lead
Yeah.
ion.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Okay.
an atom of gold is and this is neutral it's like, so the colloidal gold releases monoatomic gold from the surface, and these particles are not charged, they're neutrally charged, so they're able to go in the receptor and bump the lead out based on size, not charge. And the lead, what I got recently by doing that newsletter is answering the question is, why is lead so toxic, okay? And
Yeah.
the reason lead is so toxic, from my understanding, is because of the charge. The Pb2 plus ion is able to imitate the magnesium ion and the zinc ion and the calcium ion. And it's calcium 2 plus, magnesium 2 plus, and zinc 2 plus. So the lead 2 plus imitates these three other ions, calcium, magnesium, and zinc in the body. And there's all these different processes in the body that use calcium, magnesium, and zinc. And the
Yeah.
lead is like a monkey wrench that blocks them all. And
Oh,
gold, okay,
okay. All
and
right.
gold is able to bump the lead out and restore all those pathways. Okay.
Okay.
So that revelation answered, why is lead so toxic? Why does gold detox lead? Like, it all just kind of clicked. I've been doing it a long time, but like, but I verified as a chemist, looking at the atomic radius of an atom of gold, looking at the atomic radius of the lead ion, and I think I put it in my newsletter. It's basically 136 picometers for gold and like 133 picometers for the lead ion. So like I say, they're almost exactly the same size, but the gold atom is a little
No.
bit bigger than the lead ion and able to bump it out of receptors.
I was
And I was
actually
able,
thank you
go
for
ahead.
bringing that up because I was going to ask you about that because you had in your newsletter it was described as like magnesium and zinc disruption. So
And
that
calcium too.
and calcium like that's so it's coming in this lead. Gosh, guys, this is fascinating.
Mhm.
um this is coming in and blocking us of those things. And I have to say, I'm a fan of trying to restore the body of magnesium in the first place. To think that there's stuff that we're taking in that's blocking it as well. And the gold, because it's just say bigger and better, and bolder, it comes in and it can knock out the lead. This is fascinating. my brain is just like, wow. This is why, though, I wanted you to explain a little bit of the periodic table, because we go into these numbers and these ideas of if something is a bit bigger, it can help remove. Do you use, do you still use the iodine to detox from the lead as well?
Yes.
Okay,
So both the iodine and the gold are able to detox lead. That is
okay.
correct.
Um,
But the gold in particular, like I say, detoxes the lead out of the brain, and that's important because one of the major toxicities of lead is the brain damage. And I understand how that works really well because I was looking at the NMDA receptors in the brain, and they're very complex. But they use calcium, they use magnesium. These receptors have, so it's not clear to me if the lead is blocking both the calcium and the magnesium. Either way would explain why it's screwing up the receptor, but most people think it's blocking the calcium. But the big revelation I had through studying lead is I think it's equally or even more importantly blocking the magnesium. And this receptor has a magnesium ion in it that sits there, and then when the nerve depolarizes, the magnesium goes out and then it lets the calcium in. But imagine if an ion of lead was sitting there instead of the magnesium, then it when the neuron depolarizes, it's not able to unblock and the calcium is not able to flow. So
oh wow.
it's a there is a lot that I was able to understand on the neuroscience of why I think lead is hurting the brain, at least with the NMDA receptors. And it looks to me that it's screwing with not just the calcium, but it's really screwing with the magnesium as well. And there's a
Wow.
lot of other evidence I've also able to show. I didn't in that newsletter, I didn't want to bog people down with all the science, but I want you to know behind the scenes I read a whole bunch. I read
Yeah.
like maybe 50 papers doing that. Like it was a big deal. And I didn't include all those papers because I didn't want to bog people down. But I was
Yeah.
able to confirm lead really does block calcium. It really does block magnesium, and it really does block zinc. And most of the stuff, when you start reading about it, people really know, most everyone knows that it screws with calcium
Yeah.
because lead absorbs in the bone and they're able to see it. But what people forget is the bones use calcium and magnesium. So whenever you think it's screwing with calcium, it could actually be screwing with magnesium. And it's also screwing with these zinc pathways that people didn't realize. And I did a newsletter on zinc, and there's like 3,000 pathways in the body with zinc. There's like 300 signaling pathways with magnesium, and with calcium there's even more. And I haven't done the newsletter on that yet, but it's a lot. The whole body runs on calcium. So there's basically thousands and thousands of pathways and signaling pathways, and on top of that also proteins and DNA binding. There's basically, lead is really bad. It just shuts off your entire body, and because it directly blocks those
It's
pathways.
blocking it.
And the way that it's doing it is based on charge, not size. Okay. It's based on charge. People, and this is interesting because people call lead a heavy metal, like it being heavy is the problem.
Yeah.
No, the problem is its charge imitation, because the Pb2 plus ion that's positively two charged is imitating the calcium positively two charged ion, the magnesium positively two charged ion, and the zinc positively two charged ion. So it is a double charge imitator of their important electrical pathways in your body. So
Can
I knew
you
that.
explain what charge means as
Yeah,
far
so
as,
like an
yeah.
electron is negatively charged, a proton is positively charged. Um, in chemistry, when things like a negatively charged ion has an extra electron, a negative two charged ion would have two extra electrons. So a Pb2 plus ion has two less electrons. So you take the lead
Okay.
atom and you take away two electrons, and then it becomes Pb2 plus charge. If you take a calcium atom, you take away two electrons, it becomes two charge. Take a magnesium atom, take away two electrons,
Okay.
so it
Okay.
becomes, so the positively charged ions are because they're missing electrons.
Okay.
I is the best I can explain it, but
No, this makes sense now. So then the gold is not charged.
no,
It's
it's neutral.
it's neutral. So
Yeah.
because it's neutral, it's just and bigger, even if
Hmm.
it's a small little bit bigger, that's how it can come in and knock it out.
Like a billiard ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is the lead is screwing stuff up based on charge, and the gold is fixing things not based on charge, based on size. Is the easiest way I can explain it. Hope
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, no, it did. And guys, also in the newsletter, I wanna say for a moment, he went into, like, even the history of lead. I know he gave Ben gave some examples as to how we drink it now, but even when you went into like you are you have an opinion or hypothesis of, you know, this also contributed to the fall of Rome.
And
Lead.
that's not just my opinion. There's a whole book on that. I didn't want to go into that too much, but yeah, there's somebody who wrote a book who went in mega detail on how that worked, and it pretty much proved his point, and no one can say it's not true. So everyone's like, yeah, it probably did contribute to the fall of Rome because all
Wow.
the emperors were basically lead makes people more criminally violent.
Okay,
It
so now I was
disrupts.
gonna go in that I was gonna be going into the side effects, and also,
Yeah,
I mean, how can we even tell that we might have a lot of lead in us, or does it eat away at the brain? I was gonna go into that, so go for it,
people who
guys.
have the lead has a interesting property is that anyone who has lead poisoning does not know they have lead poisoning. That's pretty
Oh,
much that's its whole thing. If you
oh
you
shit.
wouldn't know. The people who have lead poisoning do not know they have lead poisoning, and that's why it requires people who don't have lead poisoning to help those people. And so it really
Yeah.
is an important case of like charity and using your church foundation, why churches have to buy lead detox for the people suffering from lead, because the people suffering from lead do not know they
Did
have
not
lead.
know it.
That
Hence
was
how
the
it
big
happened in Flint for so many years.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so what are there side effects though? Even if we don't know it, are there like what kind of side
Oh
effects?
yeah, definitely. I mean, with small, like your friend who wrote the review,
Yeah,
had for sure she had some fluoride poisoning, and she probably did have some lead poisoning that went
yeah.
away. And one of the big side effects, of course, is headaches and migraine and brain fog. You know,
Oh,
because the lead, like all the heavy metals, causes inflammation in the brain, and that inflammation usually manifests for people as headaches and migraine and brain
oh
fog and all
wow.
and even the gold is known to help with rheumatoid arthritis, so that could have been an inflammatory arthritis, which is could have been some of what she's experiencing. But that could have been caused underlying by lead or some other heavy metal. Now the thing is, I don't know for sure which heavy metal it was because my system treats all heavy metals the same. Iodine will detox all heavy metals. Silver will directly detox mercury, and gold will directly detox lead. But it will actually detox and help with any heavy metal, but lead is the worst of all heavy metals. So I really wanted to get
It's the
into
worst.
how the gold is really does protect the brain from lead and other
But you
parts of
were
the body
just
as well.
saying people can become like criminals when they got a bunch of lead in them.
Yeah, I didn't go
What
into
is
this,
that
but
about? Yeah.
there are a whole bunch of papers you can read. You can look it up. Governments have done studies where they can correlate the amount of lead poisoning to the amount of criminals in an area. And if they crank up the lead poisoning, more criminals. If they get rid of lead poisoning, less crime. It's very there are actually I read at least
Wow.
3 papers talking about that. And that's probably been known. And so something clicked for me when I was looking at that. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And that is, I've always been trying to figure out, why the hell are they putting fluoride in the water? Because it's so toxic. Why are they putting fluoride in the water?
Right.
Okay. And I think it's because, you want to hear my hypothesis? I didn't have, no one's heard this before. It's new. Okay.
Go for it.
Because they have the lead pipes and they're lead poisoning everyone, it's making everyone more criminally violent. So they're putting the fluoride in the water to calm them back down and make them
Yep.
more brain dead. So
Make
it's
them
it's really a
docile.
1-2 punch with the poisons. So you're getting less docile from the lead, and you're getting more docile from the fluoride, but it's people are getting double poisoned. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that's why my system detoxes fluoride and it detoxes lead. So it just gets all the poisons out.
Yeah, it gets all
But
the poisons out.
but
Wow.
I can understand now from a city administrator, they're like,
Yes.
oh my God, everybody's got lead poisoning. What do we do? We have too many criminals in our city. Oh, let's just add some fluoride to the water and we'll calm them back down again. You can
Oh my
imagine their brain
goodness.
processes, which is
And
evil, but
I do have to say out there, guys, it's for the people that might work at water departments or what have you, or just general workers out there, it's not them. We all know that they're having to maintain a guideline for their particular area, their kind of water coming in. It's all but that guideline, where that's coming from. of how much fluoride, how much this, how much that, how much chlorine, that is coming from somewhere else. I do want to point that out there, that don't just start hating your water department. It's not the word, it's not the secretary in there, it's not the, it's coming down the pipe. Literally.
And their thought process, I could see it when I was studying lead. Okay, so when their water facilities failed, they started using river water. Okay, but like this, like in Flint, and I think in Jackson too. Okay, so let's start using river water. But then when they started using river water, they were getting a listeria bacteria infection. So then they're like, oh my gosh, there's too much bacteria in the water, so we've got to add more chlorine.
Right.
But then when they add more chlorine, it would move all the corrosion, and then the lead would leak more. And so it's like every time they try to add something to the pipes to try to fix it, it just makes the problem worse and worse and worse. And you have to add more and more poison to the water. And if you want to taste some really bad water, go to Atlanta, Georgia. Their water is completely undrinkable there. So it's not just Jackson or, I mean, yeah.
Ooh, sorry.
No, I'm serious. I flew around. I went to the Atlanta airport, the Austin, Texas airport, and the Fort Lauderdale airport, and it was just really noticeable. Like the water in Atlanta is just it may be lead, but I think they have chloramines or some other chemicals in there too.
Well,
but it is just horrendously bad.
I don't even know where that water is probably coming from, and that's I found that because I grew up right on Lake Michigan, that we had plenty of water, that I have found. Even here in Chattanooga, when I first got down here, I was like, what is this water? What is happening? Just out of curiosity. Do we have more? Because of course we filter everything and do all sorts of stuff. But then as I kind of would drink some and to just get a taste, to just see what's going on with the water, I realized, oh, this is what river water tastes like. So that's what I meant, of like different regions have different things. But then because of that, I went, what happened to those areas that there is no water to be had around them? Like what does their water consist of how much they have to clean it, and how much so Atlanta would be, I mean, hell, where's their water coming from? There's, they don't have enough water in that area to have more fresh water, have more usable water. They're probably, I don't want to know. We're going to move off of that for a moment.
Well, the problem is at the airport, they had a filter. So they're telling you that they're giving you clean filtered water.
Oh God.
But there's still something in it. Yeah. And so like that's
goodness,
what,
I
and
didn't know that.
And when you go in the airport, they steal your water and then they force you to use their water. So if they steal your water and then make you use bad water, it's really rough. So we had a rough plane flight until we could get our good water again.
I didn't know. Okay. Well, it was also for some reason, whenever I go to like Nevada or something, the moment I drink some of their water in a restaurant or whatever, my stomach's not too happy. It's Which I have no idea if their water is good or bad. It's more we get so our bodies get used to what we grew up with, that when I came down here, river water tastes so vastly different. And so I just stay away from it. But also I know people that have been from out in Seattle that would visit me in Chicago and be like, oh, I can taste the chlorine in this water from Chicago, cleaning up the water there. I think the biggest thing is the lead that's coming through the pipes. I mean, not saying fluoride and all the rest is bad, of course.
And to get the lead out, you need a carbon filter. So you need a carbon filter to get the lead out. And also you need an ion exchange filter to get the lead ions out. So,
okay.
So I was reading a lot of people saying you just need a carbon filter, but you would need carbon filter and ion exchange filter both. They have some good water filters out there. The big deal is that you have to maintain them and change them out like every month. Otherwise it will stop working.
Yeah, especially depending on where you are and the type of water. Like, is it working harder? That's what I was going to ask. So the carbon will get the lead out, but then you need like more, what's the filtration system to get the ions out?
Well, it's common belief that carbon filtration will get the lead out completely, but I'm not sure if that's true because my understanding that it's the lead ion, the Pb2 plus ion. So there's a different type of
That's
filter
doing
called
it.
an ion
Okay.
exchange filter. And you have to use the ion exchange filter to get the fluoride out because it's F minus, it's an ion. And it's harder to get the ions out of your water than just the big pieces of
Okay.
non-charge. Because the way that I learned this in environmental science, the way that a carbon filter works is that carbon is very porous. It has a lot of little pores in it, and so stuff in the water will get trapped and stuck in the pores just based on its size and excluded volume. Kind of weird. It's not really a charge effect. It just gets stuck in there because
Suck.
it's got like a big
Yeah.
sponge with a lot of holes in it, if that makes sense.
So how does lead actually kill us then? Because we're not getting the magnesium and the calcium we need and the zinc? How does
Yeah,
lead
yeah. So everyone with lead poisoning, you're not getting the calcium and the magnesium and the zinc that you need, is my understanding, based on my research, what
it's
I
like a
wrote in the paper.
slow death. It's that's what I like the body will start like it'll be more receptible to
I think
other
I
sickness,
listed
other
all the side effects of lead, but there's like, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like more than 50 side effects.
oh
Oh,
wow.
I can tell you, some of the really common lead poisoning in the past. One was lead poisoned apple cider in England. And the first noticeable symptoms of that is that the lead would cause constipation and stomach pain and would make people hallucinate.
Oh
And so there's a
wow.
lot of other.
Oh, but it's all goes
Lead and
over
gas.
time. Well, I'm sorry,
Have you
go on.
heard of the loony gas? At all the gas stations, they say unleaded,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because they used to put lead in gas.
Right. Yeah.
And apparently they still do in some airplane fuel, but the
Right.
lead in the gas was a different uh, form. It was attached to some carbons, and it would absorb right through the skin, and it was causing people that go loony. So they called it the loony gas,
The loony
like
get
hallucinations.
so I'm taking this in
Yeah.
as like it's kind of like a slow death because we don't know we don't know we have it in us. We don't especially because fluoride is also kind of in the mix. We don't really feel anything possibly unless it's a very heavy um poisoning. So we probably everyone listening probably does have lead in them. I have lead. Now I have lead in.
Well, everyone, I don't want to freak people out, but anyone using my system does not have lead in them and
Yeah,
probably can't even absorb lead. And
that's
I
what
was
I was
looking at
gonna
how
say.
does it absorb.
Yes.
One of the ways that it absorbs is when you drink stuff, your body's trying to absorb zinc ions, and the lead comes in as a mimicker of the zinc in your gut. So yeah, your
Okay.
body is just trying to get nutrients, and sometimes it gets something that isn't a nutrient. But because lead is naturally occurring, your body has to have some natural way to detox it. People
Right.
didn't understand what that is, and I'm telling you that that natural way to detox lead is with gold. I think our bodies have evolved to use gold to flush lead out and to keep our calcium, magnesium, and zinc pathways lead free.
That's amazing. Yeah, guys, I this is why we're talking about this. And it's not just like Ben has said before, it's not just lead. His detox system is it takes care of everything. I mean, it really does take care of what we need to flush out of our bodies so we can even begin um, living a healthier lifestyle. Especially, um, have you ever been? This is off of the topic of lead, but have you had people that post cancer and chemo and whatnot? Have they used your system? Because I get worried about that. Like they are having to put chemicals in their body, and after everything's healed, there's so many side effects. Um,
So my thoughts on that is if you anyone who takes, well, first of all, my system is also a triple anti-cancer. So a lot of
okay,
cancer
well,
is caused by heavy metals and
that's why,
viruses, and
yeah,
it's also a triple antiviral. So if you're using my system, you don't really have to worry about viruses or cancer or lead or any of that stuff.
right.
But everyone else,
What about
yeah, a
post?
lot of
Like,
people,
yeah,
they'll get cancer, they'll do chemo. The chemo will give them brain fog, and they should absolutely use my system to detox and flush out the poisonous chemotherapy chemicals and to get rid of the brain fog and to suppress the cancer, because just because you took chemo is like taking poison to attack cancer, and then usually it doesn't kill it all and it comes back later. It's not. So there's a lot of medicine that is taking poison to fix a problem, and
Right.
I don't do that kind of medicine.
Right.
And let me give you a really interesting example. I know we're trying to get off lead, but back to lead.
I know
Okay, I
it's
told
okay.
you
No, go
lead
ahead.
causes constipation. I
Yeah.
told you that lead will cause constipation. Okay, so guess what doctors used to use lead for?
Uh,
It's a
God.
great it's a great anti-diarrhea cure. Hey, you got diarrhea, take some lead. It'll fix your it'll give you constipation and reverse the diarrhea. So, I mean, even in just like the 16,
Oh
1700s,
my goodness.
doctors were using lead as a medicine. They're using the lead as a medicine. So, and that was one of the
Yeah.
weirdest things I learned learning lead, is that lead has been used medicinally since Roman times, but I'm using it medicinally in parentheses because it is not the type of medicine that I do. It's the type of medicine
Yeah.
where you see a problem and you give people more poison. And that's
Right.
the same kind of medicine that chemotherapy is. Oh, I see a problem. You have cancer. Let me give you some more poison to fix the problem. Like,
Right.
no, that's not real medicine. It doesn't fix the underlying problem. It just makes the problems worse
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, go back to at the how I really said at the beginning, everyone listening, the woman TC that is just the 6 weeks of this detox system, when I laid hands on her, it was as if nothing was wrong with her body. So when he's saying, yeah, we don't have to live with cancer, we don't have to live with biological uh, weapons, let's say, we don't have to live with this, we don't have to live with that, we don't have to. And that's why I do endorse the IMedDo system, the detox system. Ben, and I to just say this real quick. I'm going to throw it out there. Ben, you are a church foundation now, right?
Yeah, that was very important to have
Yes.
freedom of speech,
Yes.
because I can say what needs to be said under freedom of speech. And what people don't realize is that freedom of speech is the First Amendment is not freedom of speech. The First Amendment is freedom of religion. Freedom of speech is a subset of freedom of religion. So if you want freedom of speech, you have to claim freedom of religion. And the easiest way to claim freedom of religion is becoming a church. So by making IMedDo into a church, I get freedom of religion, but it gives me freedom of speech. So I can say, I can tell you that iodine, silver, and gold cure cancer. Whereas before, if I say that, then they come and try to shut me down. But now they can't anymore because they don't have jurisdiction over my church, because I left the state religion and have
Right.
my own religion. And I know that
Right.
sounds kind of weird, but that's very, very important.
No, it is. And so I wanted to throw that in there because also, like, they would be giving you a donation for your system. But also, guys, when I met Ben, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago now, let's just say the government had already tried to kind of put him in his place, knock him down twice prior to when we met a few years ago. Hence, not only just freedom of speech, freedom of the religious aspect to get to the freedom of speech, but also so he can get this product to you. That's what people don't really understand. When something works, they don't want it out there. And so he had to do that in order to serve the public, serve the people. And so I commend you for that. Um, it, you got to do what you got to do to actually help the world. And also, ladies and gentlemen, you beautiful stars that are listening, please share this video. Everybody can benefit from hearing this. Everybody can benefit. Everybody knows somebody that could benefit from his system, and or even share it with people you know to just get the word out. He needs to be more visible. If you know other YouTubers that have a much bigger subscription base than me, send this to them. That would be awesome because so then maybe he can get interviewed with them. We're just little guys down here in the Chattanooga area trying to do stuff when his product should there's no reason people should not be living completely healthy, productive lives. And I do want to bounce off of what I just said just for a moment. I know Ben and his wife. This is how awesome. I gotta tell you guys, this is just a little Courtney observation and everybody else. Ben did that event in September in the Chattanooga area. It's Saturday night. We all still have Sunday to do. It's been a long couple of days. Some of us go out to have dinner when we shut things down. Ben and his wife were there. They're not like young 20-something-year-olds anymore. These people have so much energy that we're at dinner, all of us sitting around, and they go, "Oh, well, we're going to go dancing afterwards," him and his wife, because there was a big band music playing down the road, which means swing dancing, which actually means a whole lot more energy than just, cutting a rug. And we all just looked at him like, after this long day, we have a day tomorrow, dinner, you guys are now going to go swing dance the night away. That's how much energy and they have, because they have a clean, clear body, clean, clear mind. They're not living with the heavy metals and the fluorides and the this and the that are weighing us down. So not only are they living examples, because all of us at the table are like, and I want to tell you, Ben, you didn't know this. After you guys left to go dancing, some people asked me, like, whoa, like, who are they? And I just said, it's their system. It's his detox system. Like, that's literally what you can have. You can have the energy, you can have the mind, you can have.
I want to comment on that
Go
as
ahead.
a biochemist real fast. Have you heard of ATP, adenosine triphosphate? That's the what's thought of as the energy molecule in the body.
Right.
Okay. So the phosphate part of that, okay, it's phosphorus with some oxygens around it, binds to metals, and for every chemical compound of energy molecule of ATP in your body, there's also, guess what? A corresponding amount of magnesium ions. So every
wow.
ATP molecule is associated with a magnesium ion, Mg2+. Okay.
Okay.
So and I told you that lead 2+ can interfere with
it's
Mg2+.
yeah.
So it became obvious to me, kind of a direct correlation of like, okay, so if the lead is blocking the magnesium, of course it's going to block your energy, because you're going to have ATP molecules binding to lead instead of magnesium. Does that make sense?
Can I ask you a question then, on your just generally the public out there? How bad are we deficient in like magnesium and zinc and the things that we need, calcium? Just maybe, do you have an idea of standard American walk in the street, how deficient we actually are based on these things that are happening to us?
Well, you're asking me, so I'm going to give you my answer, which may or may not be the answer you get from other people.
That's
But
fine.
I approach it from a different way. I don't think people are magnesium, calcium, or zinc deficient. I think we have lots of it in our body. The problem is it's there, but it's not being used right because it's being blocked by toxins. Okay.
Oh, wow. I love that answer then. That's actually okay. Keep going.
So if you just get rid of the fluoride and the bromine and chlorine and lead and aluminum and mercury, you get that stuff out of your body, then the calcium and magnesium and zinc that's already there, you already have enough. Your body is really good at absorbing it and holding on to it, and you don't pee out too much. If you get low in it, your body will pee out less of it, okay, because it holds on to it more. So my thing is, I don't think people are deficient in those. What people are deficient in generally is iodine, and it's almost like 99%. It's pretty much everybody you know is iodine deficient. So you give them more iodine nutrient, and then with the silver and gold, with iodine together to get all the other toxins out, then people notice that their calcium, magnesium, and zinc levels go back to normal. Whereas before they thought they might be low in it, but really it was an underlying. I say it all the time. A lot of people with bone problems think that they're low calcium or they're screwed up magnesium, and they're trying to take magnesium supplements to compensate.
Yeah.
It does help a little bit because it competes with the lead. So if you have lead poisoning, just taking more calcium or magnesium will help a little bit, but really the underlying problem is getting the lead out. And so by taking more iodine, your body uses iodine for life support, but it also uses it for heavy metal detox. So when you become uniodine deficient, it flushes it out. And if you're trying to flush lead or things out of your brain directly, then you need the gold as well.
Wow.
And when it come out, the toxins cause damage on the way out, and that's why you really use the silver, because it's anti-inflammatory in the body. So by using the three together is how my system works, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it does. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but just common sense and logic are telling you how the three work together, and the iodine, the gold, and the silver, and how we need that. Because I don't want to just, okay, protect my brain with the gold and start detoxing with the iodine, and then, I don't know, as it's leaving my body, get trapped somewhere because I don't have any silver. You see what I'm saying? I see how the three are working together. And I do want to say, I find that fascinating that with your program or your system, I'm sorry, it can be that simple. It can be just those three basic things. And then you're telling me that my body actually, as we repeat a lot on this channel, of we're born and we actually have everything we need. There is no actual lack. We have what we need. And Ben's trying to say your body does too. It's just covered up with the whole bunch of ugliness and crap and the heavy metals. So we gotta flush it out, guys. And Ben, we gotta sound out here for a moment. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
I think people just really need to detox. They don't understand how many poisons that they're being exposed to. And if you just get the poisons out of your body and let your body do what it's supposed to do, you have it. Your body is an amazing physical and spiritual vessel, and just enjoy your body. But to do that, you got to get the poisons out.
Yeah, you can swing dance all night if you want. So I trust me, I witnessed it. I see it. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, please share this video. Of course, hit that likes button. I will not be in the chat. I'm actually teaching a class right now, so I love you all dearly, you beautiful stars. Keep shining. Please share this, and if you can, get the word out that his system can help those in Jackson, Mississippi right now. He helps those in Flint. It's a donation to a church. You can make a difference. It takes all of us. So share, subscribe, hit the like button, help the algorithms here with this one, please, guys, and enjoy your weekend and happy Halloween. Ben, thank you for being here. Bye, Ben.
Bye bye.